The glamorous fairy tale of classic Hollywood was, for many of its biggest stars, a gilded cage built on a foundation of carefully guarded secrets. Tonight, we pull back the curtain to reveal the heartbreaking truth about 10 icons who were forced to live a lie. Number 10. Rock Hudson. To the world, Rock Hudson was the absolute pinnacle of 1950s masculinity, the perfect man sprung to life from a magazine cover. Standing an impressive 6'5" with $1 million smile and a gentle demeanor, he was the ideal romantic lead for an entire generation. In blockbuster films like Pillow Talk and Giant, he radiated a powerful yet approachable charm that made him one of the biggest stars on the planet. He wasn't just an actor, he was the American dream personified. Behind the scenes, a time bomb was ticking. In 1955, the notorious scandal magazine Confidential was threatening to publish a massive expose on Hudson's homosexuality, a revelation that would have instantly ended his career. In a panic, his ruthless agent Henry Wilson orchestrated a desperate solution to save his biggest client. He arranged for Hudson to hastily marry his secretary, Phyllis Gates, creating a public spectacle of romance to kill the rumors for good. The marriage was a painful 3-year performance for a man who was living in constant fear of being discovered. In reality, Hudson had a vibrant social life within Hollywood's underground gay community, enjoying long-term relationships that had to remain in the deepest of shadows. He hosted pool parties at his home, the Castle, that were legendary among his trusted circle of friends. This was his real life, lived in fleeting moments of freedom, always under the threat of total annihilation. The immense pressure of upholding this lie for over 30 years took a profound psychological toll, leaving Hudson feeling isolated despite his fame. The charade finally and tragically crumbled when he became one of the first major celebrities to be diagnosed with AIDS in the 1980s. His illness forced the truth into the open, shattering the illusion he had been compelled to maintain. In the end, the world learned his secret, but only at the cost of his life. Number 9. Judy Garland. There has never been a star quite like Judy Garland, a force of nature whose powerful voice and raw vulnerability created an unbreakable bond with her audience. From her breakout role in The Wizard of Oz to her triumphant concert performances, she was a symbol of resilience, the ultimate survivor. On screen and on stage, she poured every ounce of her joy and her pain into her art. Millions adored her, feeling they knew the woman behind the legend. Yet, a crucial part of her story was deliberately obscured from the public, a secret that explains so much of her turmoil. 2 of her 5 husbands, the celebrated director Vincente Minnelli and actor Mark Herron, were known within Hollywood's inner circles to be gay men. These were not simply failed romances. They were complex arrangements of companionship and mutual protection. These lavender marriages provided a necessary cover for all involved, allowing them to maintain their careers in a deeply judgmental industry. The complexity did not end there, as Garland herself was not just the wife of closeted men. According to numerous biographers and close friends, she was bisexual and had passionate, if secret, affairs with women throughout her life. This adds a profound layer of tragedy to her story, revealing a woman trapped from all sides by the rigid sexual codes of her time. She was forced to hide not only her partner's secrets, but her very own identity as well. Understanding this hidden context casts her well-documented struggles with addiction and mental health in a new, heartbreaking light. Her dependency on pills began in her youth under studio pressure, but it evolved into a way to cope with the crushing weight of living multiple secret lives. Her life became a desperate search for the kind of unconditional love and acceptance that the Hollywood machine, which demanded she be someone else, could never provide. Number 8. Cary Grant. For decades, Cary Grant was the undisputed king of sophisticated charm, the very definition of a debonair leading man. With his signature transatlantic accent, flawless comedic timing, and dashing good looks, he was the man other men aspired to be. He starred opposite nearly every major actress of his era, creating an on-screen image as the ultimate romantic hero. No one was smoother, funnier, or more desirable than Cary Grant. But for 12 years, at the height of his fame, this icon of heterosexual romance shared a home with another handsome actor, Randolph Scott. The press playfully called their beach house Bachelor Hall, publishing photos of the 2 men living a cozy, domestic life together. While the studio spun it as 2 frugal bachelors saving on rent, the sheer length and intimacy of their cohabitation fueled rumors that persist to this day as Hollywood's most famous open secret. It's impossible to ignore the suspicious timing of Grant's 5, often stormy, marriages. Time and again, He would enter a highly publicized marriage precisely when the whispers about him and Scott grew too loud for the studios to ignore. Many researchers and biographers now believe these unions were, at least in part, beards, public performances of normalcy designed to protect his career. The marriages often ended in bitter public divorces, suggesting a man deeply uncomfortable in the role he was forced to play. Cary Grant went to his grave without ever confirming or denying the rumors, maintaining his meticulously crafted persona until the very end. But the mountain of circumstantial evidence has fundamentally changed how we see him. His life is now viewed by many as his greatest and most demanding role. He wasn't just playing the suave romantic on screen. He was playing it every single day of his public life. Number 7. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was unlike anyone else in Hollywood, an exotic, defiant, and gloriously androgynous star who shattered conventions. She famously wore a man's tuxedo and kissed a woman on screen in the 1930 film Morocco, a shocking act for the time. She cultivated an aura of mystery and sexual ambiguity, seducing audiences with a confidence that felt both dangerous and thrilling. Dietrich played by her own rules, or so it seemed. Her greatest tool of deception was her one and only marriage to director Rudolf Sieber, a union that lasted over 50 years until his death. But here's the twist. It was an open marriage almost from the very beginning. They rarely lived together, and both were free to pursue other relationships, yet they never divorced. This arrangement provided Dietrich with the perfect shield, the respectable, unimpeachable status of being a married woman. Armed with the cover of her marriage, Dietrich lived a private life of astounding romantic freedom for her era. Her bisexuality was an open secret in her social circles, and her list of lovers famously included both men and women, from John F. Kennedy to the French singer Edith Piaf. She wasn't hiding in a closet so much as she was hiding in plain sight, using the institution of marriage as her alibi. Dietrich's story is a masterclass in controlling one's own public image. The studio didn't need to force her into a marriage. She understood its power and used it to her advantage. By remaining Mrs. Sieber, she could navigate the treacherous waters of Hollywood and the press on her own terms. Her marriage wasn't a prison. It was her license to be herself, just as long as it was behind. Number 6. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins had the sensitive, boyish looks of a classic leading man. But he was forever defined by one iconic role: the disturbed motel owner Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. His performance was so terrifyingly convincing that it typecast him for life. Much of his on-screen persona afterward was marked by a quiet, nervous intensity that audiences found captivating and unsettling in equal measure. That palpable anxiety audiences saw on screen was not entirely an act. It was a reflection of Perkins' deep-seated torment over his homosexuality. In an era of intense homophobia, he lived in constant fear and self-loathing, engaging in secret, fraught affairs with other closeted figures like actor Tab Hunter. His internal struggle was a constant, agonizing battle that he felt he had to hide from the world. So desperate was he to live a normal life. Perkins undertook years of psychoanalysis and even reportedly subjected himself to electroshock conversion therapy to try and cure his attraction to men. In 1973, he married photographer Barry Berenson and had 2 sons, embracing the role of a husband and father. To the outside world, it seemed he had finally found peace, but it was a peace built on a foundation of profound internal conflict. Much like Rock Hudson, Anthony Perkins' lifelong secret was ultimately revealed by tragedy. He kept his sexuality and his past hidden from the public until he died from AIDS-related pneumonia in 1992. His wife only discovered he was ill shortly before his death. His story is a chilling reminder of the extreme, damaging lengths stars felt they had to go to in order to conform to Hollywood's rigid expectations. Number 5. Spencer Tracy. The 26-year love affair between Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn is the stuff of Hollywood legend. They were a perfectly matched pair, their fiery on-screen chemistry seemingly bleeding into a passionate, lifelong off-screen romance. The public saw them as equals, a power couple who shared a deep and abiding love that transcended the need for a marriage license. Their story has been celebrated for decades as the ultimate Hollywood romance. But the beloved narrative was also a masterful piece of public relations that concealed a much more complicated and tragic reality. The official reason they never married was that Tracy, a devout Catholic, would not divorce his estranged wife. While true, this story conveniently overshadowed Tracy's other profound struggles. The arrangement allowed him to live a life of secrets, with Hepburn as his fiercely loyal guardian. Behind the iconic love story, Tracy was a deeply troubled man, battling severe alcoholism and, according to multiple credible biographers, his own conflicted bisexuality. Katharine Hepburn's role was far more complex than just a romantic partner. She was his devoted caretaker. She protected him from the studios, nursed him through his drinking binges, and provided a respectable cover for the parts of his life that could have destroyed his career. The real tragedy of this story belongs to Hepburn, who put her own life on hold to devote herself to a brilliant but tormented man. She endured his moods, his disappearances, and his secrets, all for a love that could never be publicly acknowledged until after his death. A great love story. But it was one of sacrifice, secrecy, and profound sadness, far from the simple fairy tale the public was sold. Number 4. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck was Hollywood royalty, a true trailblazer who was respected for her professionalism, versatility, and tough-as-nails persona. She could play anything, from a seductive femme fatale to a vulnerable victim, and she was known for being one of the most powerful and independent women in the industry. She projected an image of unshakable strength, a woman who was nobody's fool and always in control. Her marriage to heartthrob actor Robert Taylor was one of Hollywood's most glamorous pairings, but it was also notoriously volatile and unhappy. Decades later, a compelling theory has emerged among Hollywood historians, that it may have been a double beard. This was a lavender marriage of convenience, brilliantly designed by the studio to quiet rumors about the sexual preferences of both of its stars, Stanwyck and Taylor. While nothing was ever confirmed due to her fiercely private nature, persistent rumors have long circulated about Stanwyck's romantic relationships with other women. The whispers were so prevalent within the industry that her marriage to one of Hollywood's most desirable men was seen as a necessary career move. It provided her with a powerful shield, allowing her to maintain her A-list status while keeping her private life completely locked down. Ultimately, the enormous pressure of living this double life seemed to take its toll on the marriage, which ended in a bitter divorce. The union, allegedly built to conceal secrets, eventually imploded under the weight of alleged infidelities and intense scrutiny. It's a classic Hollywood story of a glamorous illusion that simply couldn't be sustained, leaving two stars to navigate the fallout of a performance that had finally reached its end. Number 3. Charles Laughton. Charles Laughton was never a conventional leading man, but he was universally hailed as one of the greatest actors who ever lived. With a face capable of expressing monstrous evil or heartbreaking pathos, he transformed himself completely for roles like the Hunchback of Notre Dame and the tyrannical Captain Bligh in Mutiny on the Bounty. He was a true artist, a genius celebrated for his immense talent and his commitment to his craft. We don't have to rely on rumors for Laughton's story, because the secret was confirmed by the one person who knew him best. 33 years, the actress Elsa Lanchester. In her remarkably candid autobiography, Lanchester, famous for playing the Bride of Frankenstein, stated plainly that she discovered early in their marriage that Laughton was gay. She wrote that his only real passion was for his art, and his tastes in companionship simply lay elsewhere. According to Lanchester, Laughton was deeply tormented by his sexuality, which was considered both a sin and a crime during his lifetime. This internal conflict and profound self-loathing fueled both his artistic brilliance and his personal misery. He was terrified of exposure, living in a constant state of anxiety that this one secret could undo everything he had worked for. His genius on screen was inseparable from his pain off of it. Faced with this truth, Lanchester made a remarkable choice. She stayed, and their marriage evolved into a deep, loyal partnership of companionship. She became his professional collaborator, his staunchest defender, and his ultimate protector. Their union, while not a conventional romance, was a testament to a different kind of love, one built on mutual respect and a shared understanding of the brutal world they had to navigate together. Number 2. Janet Gaynor. Long before Julia Roberts or Meg Ryan, there was Janet Gaynor. As the very first winner of the Academy Award for Best Actress, She was the original America's sweetheart of the silent film and early sound era. With her innocent, wide-eyed look, she embodied a wholesome purity in films like Seventh Heaven and the 1937 version of A Star is Born. Her public image was one of absolute virtue and girl-next-door charm. Behind this pristine image, Gaynor shared a deep and enduring romantic relationship with Broadway superstar Mary Martin. The two women were inseparable companions for decades, their bond an open secret among their closest friends in Hollywood and New York. However, in an era where such a relationship would have been career suicide for America's sweetheart, their love had to be protected by a clever and elaborate arrangement. That protection came in the form of Gaynor's marriage to the legendary Hollywood costume designer, Adrian Adolph Greenberg. This was widely understood within Hollywood's inner circles to be a classic lavender marriage, as Adrian himself was a gay man. Their union was a brilliant stroke of public relations, providing a respectable social cover for both of them. It allowed two of Hollywood's most powerful figures to maintain their careers while living their truths in private. The arrangement was so complete that Gaynor and Adrian, along with Mary Martin and her husband, would often live and travel together as a close-knit group of four. This allowed the two women to be constantly in each other's lives under a sociable, acceptable guise of family friends. They constructed a shared world right under the public's nose, a masterful illusion of domesticity that shielded their profound, lifelong bond from a hostile world. Number 1. Vincent Price. With his elegantly sinister voice and towering presence, Vincent Price became the beloved and unmistakable face of horror for generations. He was the master of the macabre, bringing a unique sense of wit, theatricality, and charm to his terrifying roles. His public persona was eccentric and larger than life, a man who seemed to delight in all things dark and mysterious. But audiences felt they knew the charming man behind the ghoulish characters. The final, and perhaps most surprising, secret on our list was kept safe until long after his death. It was Vincent Price's own daughter, Victoria, who confirmed her father's bisexuality in her loving and honest biography of his life. After his death, she discovered his private journals and letters, which revealed a man who had loved both men and women throughout his life, a truth he felt he could never share with the world. Twist of fate. The man who built a career playing characters with delicious, dark secrets was harboring the most profound one of all. His story is a poignant final example of how the Hollywood system demanded conformity, forcing even its most unique and unconventional stars into traditional boxes. The master of macabre's greatest performance may have been the role of the happily married heterosexual man, a part he played for nearly his entire life. Conclusion. The real legacy. As we've seen, the stories all share a heartbreaking pattern. Immense talent overshadowed by intense fear. From Rock Hudson's panic-driven wedding to Janet Gaynor's carefully constructed domestic illusion, the goal was always the same: survival. These were not choices made lightly. They were desperate measures taken to preserve their careers, and sometimes their very lives, in an industry that policed every aspect of their existence. This was not just paranoia. It was a system of institutionalized prejudice, strict and puritanical morality on screen, a standard the studios then brutally imposed on their stars' private lives. Powerful gossip columnists like Hedda Hopper and Luella Parsons acted as unofficial enforcers, ready to destroy anyone who stepped out of line. The closet wasn't just a personal choice, it was a corporate mandate. The real tragedy lies in the immense human cost of these deceptions. It led to profound loneliness, fueled crippling addictions, and caused immense psychological suffering for people who were simply trying to be themselves. We must remember that their brilliant performances on screen were often created while they were under unimaginable personal stress. Their greatest acting wasn't for the camera, it was for the public, every single day. Truths doesn't tarnish the legacy of these Hollywood legends. It deepens and enriches it. It allows us to see them not as flawless idols on a pedestal, but as complex, courageous, and flawed human beings who created timeless art while navigating an impossible situation. A Cary Grant comedy or a Judy Garland musical, you will see it with new eyes, appreciating the profound resilience behind their iconic smiles. The Golden Age is filled with stories like these, secrets that are only now coming to light. Whose story on our list shocked or moved you the most? Are there other stars whose hidden histories you'd like us to explore? Let us know in the comments below. And if you believe these stories need to be told, please like this video and subscribe for more hidden histories of Hollywood.